My name is Margaret Hayes. I'm 72 years old, and I've learned that silence can be the most powerful response to cruelty. The day my son Daniel got married should have been one of the happiest of my life. I'd raised him alone after his father passed when Daniel was just 12. We worked our ranch together, side by side, building something beautiful from nothing. I taught him to ride, to mend fences, to understand that land and family are the only things that truly matter. Daniel met Christina during his final year of college. She was beautiful, ambitious, polished in ways I'd never been. She came from old money in the city, the kind of wealth that made her ranch seem quaint and provincial. But Daniel loved her, and I wanted my son to be happy. I noticed small things at first. The way Christina's smile faded when Daniel talked about the ranch. How she changed the subject whenever I mentioned family traditions. But I told myself I was being oversensitive, perhaps even jealous of losing my son's attention. The wedding was grand, held at Christina's family estate. I wore my best dress, an emerald silk gown with delicate embroidery that had belonged to my mother. I'd paired it with my grandmother's pearl necklace. I felt elegant, proud to be there for my son. The ceremony was beautiful. I sat in the front row, tears streaming down my face as Daniel said his vows. This was my boy, my whole world, promising his life to someone else. Then came the reception. I was standing near the entrance to the main hall, speaking with Daniel's childhood friend. When it happened, my son walked toward me, his face flushed, his eyes not quite meeting mine. "Mom," he said, his voice tight and strange. "You need to leave." I thought I'd misheard. "What did you say?" "Sweetheart, get out." "Mom, Christina doesn't want you here." The words came out in a rush, harsh and final. "She says you don't fit in with her family's guests. You're a broken bar, you're embarrassing us." The world seemed to tilt around us. People were beginning to stare. I could see Christina across the room, surrounded by her elegant friends, deliberately not looking our way. "Daniel," I whispered. "Please, just go," he said, and there was something broken in his voice, something that told me he hated himself even as he said it. But he said it anyway. I walked away in silence. I didn't cry, didn't make a scene, didn't give anyone the satisfaction. I simply left, holding my head high, though my heart was shattering with every step. I drove the 3 hours back to the ranch alone, the empty road blurring before me. When I got home, I sat in my kitchen, still wearing my mother's dress, and let myself feel the full weight of that rejection. The next morning, my phone rang early. It was Daniel. "Mom, I need the ranch keys." His voice was different now, embarrassed but trying to sound casual. "Christina and I are heading there for our honeymoon. She wants to see the property." I took a deep breath. This was my moment. "Daniel," I said quietly, "come to the ranch. We need to talk." He arrived an hour later, alone. Christina had stayed at a hotel in town. He said he wouldn't meet my eyes as he stood in my kitchen, the kitchen where I'd made him countless meals, where we'd laughed and cried and built our life together. I poured us both coffee. My hands were steady. "Before I give you those keys," I said, "I need to tell you 4 words. 4 words you'll never forget." He looked up then, wary. I met his gaze, and I let him see everything of my love, my disappointment, my heartbreak, and my strength. "You chose her over me yesterday," I said slowly. "You threw away 30 years of love and sacrifice because your new wife was embarrassed by the woman who gave you everything. So here are your 4 words. Son." I paused, letting the moment breathe. "You're not my heir." His face went white. "Mom, what up this ranch, these 2,000 acres, the house, the horses, the investments, and none of it is yours now. I've already called my attorney. Everything will go to charity when I pass. The Animal Rescue Foundation, the Children's Hospital, organizations that understand the value of kindness." "You can't," he started. "I can, and I have." "You wanted those ranch keys for your honeymoon." "The ranch isn't yours to inherit anymore. You made your choice yesterday, Daniel. You chose to humiliate the mother who raised you, who stood by you, who built this land with her own hands so you'd have something to inherit." I stood up, walked to the window, looked out at the land I'd spent 40 years cultivating. "I taught you that family and land are everything, I said softly. But you threw that away the moment you told me to leave your wedding. You showed me that Christina's approval matters more than my dignity, more than our history, more than love itself. Daniel was crying now, really crying. Mom, please. I was wrong. I know I was wrong. Christina was being difficult, and I just wanted the day to be perfect. And dear, you broke my heart, I said, turning to face him. And that has consequences. He left without the keys. Over the next weeks, he called every day, sometimes crying, sometimes angry, sometimes desperate. Christina called too, furious, threatening legal action. Her family's lawyers sent letters, but I'd done everything legally. The ranch was mine to do with as I pleased. 3 months passed, then 6. Daniel's calls became less frequent. I heard through mutual friends that his marriage was strained. Christina hadn't married a rancher, she'd married a man with no inheritance. It changed things. Then one morning, Daniel appeared at my door. He looked thinner, older, tired in a way that had nothing to do with physical exhaustion. I'm not here about the ranch, he said. I'm here to apologize, really apologize. Not because I want something, but because I need you to know how sorry I am. I let him in. We sat at that kitchen table again. Christina and I are getting divorced, he said. She left when she realized the money wasn't coming. But that's not why I'm here. I'm here because I've spent 6 months understanding what I did to you, what I chose, what I destroyed. Tears were streaming down his face. You raised me better than that, Mom. You taught me honor and kindness and loyalty, and I threw it all away because I was afraid of disappointing someone who never really loved me anyway. Someone who saw you as beneath her, when you're the strongest, most dignified person I've ever known. I reached across the table and took his hand. I walked away in silence that day, I said, because I wanted you to carry the weight of what you'd done. Not in anger, Daniel, in love. Because you needed to understand the gravity of your choice. I do now, he whispered. God, Mom, I do. We talked for hours that day, about everything, about his father, about loneliness, about the pressure he'd felt to fit into Christina's world, about the moment he realized he destroyed the one relationship that had always been unconditional. In the weeks that followed, Daniel came back to the ranch regularly, not to ask about the inheritance, but to help with the fences, to ride the horses, to simply be present. He was rebuilding something more important than property rights. He was rebuilding trust. One evening, as we sat on the porch watching the sunset paint the hills gold and amber, I handed him an envelope. What's this? He asked. Open it. Inside was a revised will. The ranch was his again, with one condition: that he never take for granted the people who love him, and that he teach his own children, if he has them, that dignity and kindness matter more than social status or wealth. Daniel broke down completely, holding me as he wept. I don't deserve this, he said. No, I agreed, but love isn't always about deserving. It's about choosing growth over pride. You learned your lesson, son. That was the point. They say revenge is a dish best served cold, but I learned that day that the best revenge isn't cruelty. Yeah, it's teaching someone to be better, to understand the cost of their choices, to carry that wisdom forward. My son lost a wife who never valued him, but he found himself again, and we found each other. The ranch keys hang by the door now, right where they've always been, and sometimes, when Daniel visits, I watch him look at them with the reverence he never had before, because now he understands what they truly represent. Not property or wealth or inheritance, but love, earned back one honest conversation at a time.